Hi everyone, it's your buddy, it's your pal. I'm Karneck, and this is Serenity Wargaming and Explanations. Today, I'm doing kind of like an overall life of review of what happened with my trip to Canada, STL, some other things I've been working on, um, just general update. And I will be putting out a video tomorrow for another upgrade card. I know it's been a little bit since I've done one, just been super busy since I came back. I just want to cover my trip. So if you love videos of like people going through the trips and stuff like that and talking about things, and I have so many stories to tell, stick around for that. If that's not really your bag, just follow for the first like 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to be covering the some Armada related content and just some events. So, of course, STL was a huge success. We had over 30 players for Armada, and I think Legion X Wing, I don't quite remember. I think it was 50 plus. Like we had like 100 people or so at the Abyss restaurant in Montreal. For Armada, the winner was Eric Connors, and I'll get into that as I go through my Montreal like trip stuff and show pictures and things. For upcoming events, we have Golden State Games, November 5th and 6th. Again, just really excited about Golden State Games. So much planning. We've been biting our fingernails. We're getting down to the wire. We're so happy that we're able to break 100 plus players coming for X Wing. We have 60 plus for X Wing. We have 30 plus for Armada. Again, we're just a little over, I believe, 30 plus for Legion now. And we're just super excited for Golden State Games, November 5th and 6th at the Contra Costa County Fairgrounds. And if you need a little assistance finding a location for people who are attending, again, in our event packet, we've got an overall map. We've got the address there. Again, we're in Building 1. The easiest way to access Building 1, which is down here, is to be on 10th Street and turn south into the venue. And there's like a main area road that you can come down. There's no parking on any of this. Like it'll take you to the building, you just can't park anywhere. Um, there might be a side alleyway access to come over. I don't recall what that spacing is like right there. But if you turn down this street right here and come down, then you can turn over into the parking area down here and just walk over to Building 1. It's a very short walk. And we're just so excited that we have the design layout. We've got two different designs for how we want to try to lay things out when we arrive on Friday and start Tetrising things together, how that might look. I was very happy to design that for Golden State Games. And we're just excited for it. We've got so many prizes from AMG, the kits that are coming in. We're getting those kits. They got those mailed out to us. We've got our pallets arriving with the mats and excuse me, the table toppers we're going to be using. Myself and one of the other event coordinators, we've split the cost on getting tablecloths because going into my business for Other World Events LLC, it's just nice to have some tablecloths, spare cloths around to bring to events or contribute elsewhere. So we have these prizes. And of course, as organizers, we're able to create our organizer prizes that we can hand out at our discretion. Some other stores and other persons have contributed or sponsored items that, again, that as organizers we can determine how to distribute those items to our attendees. Again, these aren't prizes sponsored or endorsed by AMG, but we wanted to make sure that if people are coming and attending, we're giving them items that they can use to enjoy. And again, nothing that conflicts with like with their third party items or anything of that nature. For Armada, of course, Admiral Tater doing a fantastic job with the items that they're contributing. Just super excited to hand these out. I've seen pictures of the other items that they've completed. And one thing I do want to mention, or before I get more into Admiral Tater, is again, if you get lost or you need help, email us at thegoldenstategames at gmail.com. We've got an email on here. Just if there's anything coming up, we're going to be checking the email constantly. Let us know what's going on. And also keep in mind that it's going to be daylight savings between Saturday going into Sunday. We're going to be dropping back an hour, which means we gain an hour. So we'll try to make sure we're announcing that, letting people know, especially for folks who are international. So hopefully nobody gets misses the games because of that. And even if you don't make it into the finals that will happen on Sunday, like if you don't make it to the top 8 cut for Armada, please come back Sunday. We have a whole nother casual 3 round Armada event that's free if you've already bought a ticket. There's no extra cost for that. We have more items to give people who show up for that. So even if you don't make it in the finals for the World Qualifier, please come back Sunday, play some more rounds of Armada. We have more items that we can give you for coming and attending, and that you can win. So, there's still more fun to be had. And that way you can kind of keep an eye on what's going on for the top 8. Okay. For Admiral Tater, and please excuse my language, so this bastard, this this man, I did not realize he was doing this for me. He sent me a message the other day. He's like, "This is being shipped along as well. Thank you for all the hard work you do. The community appreciates it, and hope to see more in the future." And he created me. Look at it; it looks so great, Director Karneck. So, if those of you don't know, I dress up as the Director Krennic outfit. I love doing it. It just adds another layer of like, this is Star Wars. This is fun. Let's not try to take things so serious. And yeah, he made this for me, and it's just so beautiful. Look at this. Look at this. It's this new like little brushed acrylic case, and he made my SWAE on there, and they're clear. I like the clear rulers that way I can see through them when I'm doing measurements and things of that nature. And oh man, I just couldn't believe it. And he did this free of charge. I didn't ask him to do this. He just did it. And he's like, I offered to pay the man. I'm like, I will pay you money like for the work that you've done. He's like, no, this is for you. And we are going to continue to work very closely together. We have plans. So as you know, Admiral Tater Ship Shop is a sponsor of SWAE, and I do make sure I'm trying to promote their items and things, just because it's fantastic quality work. We're working together on some plans. We've got some future plans together, and one of those is going to be a SWAE membership program, kind of similar to like Patreon. It's going to be through YouTube, and we've got plans for the future of SWAE together. And I won't go too much more into detail, but we hope to reveal this membership structure for the new year. I won't give any more detail than that. Just a little teaser for you. We're still working out some of the details of what is the purpose of this membership, why would we offer it, what's it going to accomplish, etc. So that is that. And for personally, for my business, just some exciting bits of news for Other World Events LLC, is that I am working on multiple events to help stand up or finance or be involved with. Very excited for that. Finally have a CPA. Woo, adulting. Yeah, my local area, it's so hard to find a CPA. They're all very busy or they're just booked full and not taking new clients. But I was very, very lucky. I got a reference, and they saw that I'm very well organized and I keep track of everything. They knew it was not going to be very much work, so they took me on as a client. Now I finally have a CPA for my business, which is great. So getting some legal and financial advice there. I have a small business lawyer that's helping me out, making sure my stuff is airtight, and just excited. I've been trying to reach out and get work for my business. It's just so competitive in Oregon. Lots of competition, especially in my local area. But I'm trying. I've been reaching out, trying to get some more local stuff. But I know that ultimately, if I want to get where I want to be with my business, I have to start throwing my own events. And I've got some plans and research for that. So you might start seeing some things on my content channel that pops up that's not Armada related. I'll try to keep that at a minimum. Okay, so I showed you the pictures of that. We went over Golden State Games. This is the point where if you kind of want to peter off and not watch more, I won't blame you. I'm going to get into my trip. So if you like hearing like trip stuff, stories, let's get into it. STL. So flying into Montreal, so my connecting flight from domestic to go international into Canada was Chicago O'Hare. And I was, so for your luggage, I already was kind of like a little hesitant because I was going from Alaska to United. And I do know that when the luggage, it just takes a while to go through customs and stuff. So that's always a little bit of concern. And then the airline at the last minute, United not only switched the plane because of maintenance problems, they switched the gate. Now, even though the gate was pretty much right next to where the gate we're already at, I knew that because it was switching from domestic to international, it was changing airlines, and now we're switching the plane and the gate. I'm like, my luggage is not going to make it. Like, this is it for my luggage. And yeah, sure enough, I get to Montreal. I don't see my luggage pop out. Like nobody's luggage popped out, it seemed like. Um, but luckily for me, I was the only one. Like everyone else, they're like, "Oh, your luggage is just taking longer or whatever." But my luggage, I walk up to the guy. I'm like, "Where's my luggage? Here's my thing." He's like, "Oh, they never loaded it onto the plane." I'm like, "Yeah, I figured that." It's like it's still back in Chicago. Next flight comes in at 5. We should be able to have it to you by midnight tonight if we rush it. I'm like, "That would be perfect. Please rush it." Like I need it. It's got my streaming gear. It's got my costume. Like these are things that I promised to provide in exchange for services. And long story short, it did not get to me that night. It did not get to me by the end of Friday. It did not get to me on Saturday. It got there at around midnight Saturday night. So after everything was all done, very happy to get my luggage back for sure. And it wasn't so much lost as just like I said, they forgot to put it on the plane. But yeah, being like in the same clothes for like 30 plus hours, ugh, so gross. I felt so gross. Luckily, STL at least had like a judge's shirt that they had made, so I was able to change shirts. But otherwise, just like blah blah. I felt gross. But to get into to Montreal, so I land. Other than the luggage thing, great flight. Going through check customs. So I've gone through customs before one time going from America to Canada. It was by car though. I've never done international, like on a flight. And so like I've seen the videos and heard the stories about going through customs, and I'm trying to make sure everything's in order. And right as I get in line, luckily I got in, and then behind me came like a huge, massive group of people. Like behind me, there was like nobody. All of a sudden, it was just like full of people, huge long lines. Like I made it like just the perfect time. And I go up, and I'm just so nervous. I got my passport, I got my ticket, I got the things that I need, and I walk up to the customs agent, and he's all like, he barely grabs my passport, flips it, looks at it, closes, like, "Welcome to Canada," throws it back at me, and like just shoves me off. And I'm just like, "Oh well, I didn't like have to answer any questions or anything. I just like he just shuttled me through." Now I do have what's called global entry, which is you go through a lot of additional background checks. That's an agreement between United States, Canada, Mexico, etc. that allows faster processing. So that might have had something to do with it. Um, but yeah, I like pretty much just got shuttled right through. Like no problems, no issues. It was great. Get my Uber going to the hotel. Passing through, this was just on the side of the road. Took a picture of that, and I swear to you, as we're driving, I saw a drug deal go down. Because at one point, the traffic we slowed down. We're kind of like cruising through this like neighborhood, and I look over, and I see a guy with a pizza box, and there's another dude, and they're kind of like looking around, like all shady and stuff, and they do the handoff, and like the dude hands this guy like a little bag, and he takes the pizza, and they both just turn around quickly, like walk away. Like I'm pretty sure I just saw a drug deal go down. Where this dude gave that guy a pizza, and he got drugs in return. Just so funny. I mean, I live in Oregon, where lots of different kinds of trading for different things can definitely happen. I've seen crazier things. It's just so weird for me to see that in Canada. But yeah, that was the trip over was great. Took a picture of that. I get to the hotel. The receptionist was so great. I was so hungry. And I'm like, luckily, like, oh, just walk this direction. You'll get to a market. And I'm thinking market, like marketplace, like grocery store. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine if they got like a little shop or restaurant in there. I'm thinking like a Safeway or Albertson. Sometimes they'll have like little store, like their little restaurants in the stores or like in a Walmart. So that's what I was expecting. And I get down there and no, this is like a huge, like think of like a mall, but instead of a mall where in America all the stores are like in their own separate store, right? And you have like a food court. Well, you walk in and yeah, they kind of have like a food court section, but it's not. The stores are all intermingled. It's just one big huge open space. It's like a flea market is what I would equate it to. But these are all those little separate stores of all the merchandise of the clothes and items and game stores. It's just all out there. And it's just it was just so unique and it's just so interesting. I made sure to, after I had my late lunch, I checked everything all out, and it was just so cool. I wish I remember to snap more pictures of things. I just didn't think about it. But to get back to the food, I walked in because there was like a Tim Hortons, and I'm like, oh, Tim Hortons. When in Canada, go to Tim Hortons. And I was walking over, and then I got this overwhelming just smell of just, oh, something so good and spices. And I turn and look, and there's a shawarma place. Now, I've had shawarma before, but it was not authentic. It was just some American guy who was like, this is shawarma, capitalizing on the Avengers, Marvel kind of stuff. It was fine, but definitely not authentic. This was authentic. I walk up and you can just see and smell, and it's just like, oh, so good. And the gentleman, he's like, what you want? He's like, he didn't speak English very well. I mean, we could understand each other okay. I'm like, oh, this is my first time in Canada, and this is my first time trying shawarma. I would like to try your food. And he's like, oh, for you, my friend, everything, everything. I'm like, okay, yeah, man, give me like, I'll try whatever you put in front of me. Like, I have no qualms about eating new food. Just throw it at me. He gets his plate out. He's piling all this food on it in different things, and he gives it to me. He's like, for you, my friend, everything. And this, I mean, the meat, and then under that is rice, and then off over here is this like these fried potatoes with like this garlic sauce on it. And we've got pickled radishes and beets and onions. And over here is like the salad. And there's more food underneath that. I started eating it. Oh, like my mouth is still salivating. Like I just remember the taste and the smell. It was some of the best food I've ever had tasted. It was so good. And I finished all of it. He gave me a ton of food. It was a lot. I felt very full afterward. I go back over and I'm like, I finished all of it. He couldn't believe it. He's like, you ate all of it? I'm like, your food is so good, I couldn't help myself. He's like, my friend, come back again, come back again. I'm like, well, I don't know if I can, but if I can, I will. Unfortunately, didn't have the time to go back, but yeah, like, oh, it was so good. It was just really good food. That's one thing I'll say about Canada is that everywhere I went, the food tasted so fresh and unique and interesting that American food is just so chock full of just so much extra crap, in my opinion. Canadian food was really good. Now, obviously, like if you go like to McDonald's or whatever in Canada, some stuff is going to be very similar, but our health laws are very different between the two countries. Anyway, awesome food, awesome cool little market. Get back to my hotel. By that point, the Troy had driven up. He was here. We went and started. We went to join up with some other people Friday. Went to a cute little bar and had some drinks because we had to wait for the Abyss to essentially be done for the evening at like 10 o'clock before we go set up. So we head over that night, late at night. We get set up. Cool venue. I won't show the video of the venue, but it's on my public Facebook profile. You can go watch it and see all my photos and things here. And for about Facebook, a lot of people send me friend requests on Facebook. I really do appreciate it if you send me friend requests. It's going to be extremely rare if I accept it, though, even if I've met you in person. Because at one point, I had like 400 or 500 people I was friends with on Facebook. It was just a constant bombardment of posts and things, and just like, it was just too much. And so I scaled back. I have a very small pool of friends on Facebook. So if I don't accept your request, please don't think badly of me. I just really try to focus it on like mainly my family and very, very close friends. And that's why I keep everything as public as I can. So if I post anything, it's almost always public. Most of my albums are public. You can still follow along and post things and communicate with me, but I just probably won't accept your friend's request. So yeah, set up the event. Good to go. Go back to the hotel. Pass out. Get to the venue. So I will show some pictures of the venue. So this is the downstairs in the basement is where Legion Armada was. Big space, high ceilings. So this place was great because it actually was pretty well ventilated, at least for that time of the year. I don't know about summertime, but it was really nice. And it wasn't only until like the very end of like 12 hours or so where you could start kind of feeling a little bit of the heat and humidity. And even then, it really wasn't that bad. And this was so great. So we're down in the basement. Here's some Armada tables. One thing I do want to say is that this place spent money. They went out and got thick OSB boarding to use for toppers on the tables. This stuff was great. I can't imagine how much money they spent for that. But like thick board, so like they're not going to bow or bend or break the table, or and the mats grip onto it so well. Um, yeah, I just really appreciated the extra mile they went for good toppers that we could put mats on, and they're not going to shift or move or get bounced around. It's great. Highly recommend it if you have the money to purchase. I mean, it's that thick of OSB. I know it costs them a lot to get that for all the tables, but it's a one-time purchase. You have it for future events, but it really made a difference. So we got 2 rows of Armada here, and then also like this other like little side section where we had some more tables. Jesse over there, he recorded a lot of gameplay. I don't know if they've put that up yet or not, but I'm sure they will throw that out or announce that when they do. My judge, or we'll get to who my fellow coordinator was. And I made sure I was taking pictures of gameplay going on, or if there's something interesting. Like this guy had painted up 3 victories for the Republic. It looked really cute. He was running spats on all of them. For lunch, we had poutine, and it was really good. I've never have had like super authentic fresh. I've had it before. I've had some Canadians make it before, but again, they're using like ingredients like from America. It wasn't like actually like authentic. And oh, this was so good. So good. This was what we had for lunch, and it just was delicious. And one thing I want to point out about the restaurant, cannot sing the praises enough of the Abyss in Montreal. So the staff were consistently running up and down the stairs bringing foods and drinks. You could go from your table playing a game, walk over to where they had a staff member at a counter. You could put your order in and go back to your table, keep playing. The staff member would run upstairs, go get your drink order, put in your food order, come back downstairs with your drink, give it to you, and then go back up, grab the food, bring that back down to you. And they were doing that all day long consistently. They were bringing you food and drink, bringing the players food and drink. They didn't have to leave their games or their tables to go put it in. Mind is blown by that service. If in America, you would not get that level of service. You just won't. It will not happen because in America, you go up, you put in your orders in for food and drink. They'll put it out and you have to get it. Like they're not going to bring it to you. They don't got time for that. But this little store, then we had like 3-4 people, and they were consistently for all the, like, I mean, we're 100 plus, and they were going up and down the stairs consistently, bringing food, bringing drinks, coming down, getting dishes. Um, just so impressed by it. I made sure to even though I didn't get too much food or drink or anything, I made sure that consistently was going up and throwing money in their tip jar. They definitely deserved all of that. It just was so fantastic, so polite, so happy. I really do hope we come back to this venue again. More pictures of the of anyone who painted. I try to make sure I was getting pictures of their paints and things. I really liked this victory with kind of like the Sabine going on here. And this doesn't show it off very well, but these vulture droids and hyenas were painted up just like perfect. They look great. Cute Starhawk. Again, that recusant paint there looks really good. This is a video that will go through the top floor and bottom floor. I'm not going to watch it here again. If you want to see it, you can easily find me on Facebook. Check out my album. But the upstairs, so this was like a nice fancy like bar, restaurant, game store. The upstairs, huge selection of board games and things, and then nice restaurant. You'll see some pictures later on of like their bar area. And the bathrooms are nice and clean, really kept up, well maintained. There's some game stores, you go into the bathrooms and it's always just horrifying. So this was a really nice venue. I do hope we come back. If we do get more people, or if the STL gets more people, they probably will have to stage things in weekends though, because like we were pretty. It wasn't like butt to butt, but it was pretty close in terms of like space and things. So like they might have to stage things over weekends next time. More pictures. I love taking pictures. And in this game of abandoned mine facility, I just can't believe it. Both sides had racked up just tons and tons of tokens. And now we get into like fun story time with Karneck. So for those of you who don't know, it was my birthday over that weekend. I turned 38, and we get done with STL, which again, Eric Connors was the winner with a Starhawk list. A long day of Armada. 4 regular rounds, and then Eric and Murray were the two contenders to get the championship. They had to play their 5th round game. Um, just a long day of Armada, and tons of cool prizes for May and G to hand out. And yeah, it just was a fun event. And I do want to shout out to my the coordinator who was helping out with STL, and that was Simon, or Captain Awesomer, as you may know them on Discord. Fantastic. They were like a pro, in my opinion. They did things so well. I would totally would want to work with them moving forward in the future for other events, or even just STL or whatever is going on. Hope to see more of them. It was just so much fun at STL. I had a fantastic time. But now we get into story time of my birthday night. And if you're on the Discords, you'll have seen some of these pictures are kind of like how drunk I got. I did not intend to get this drunk. It just happened. It just happened. Um, so there's this cute server woman. And I'm gonna call her server girl just because like she just was so bubbly and happy all the time. But this cute server woman, I get done and I'm saying, "Oh, it's so great. Your staff was so great." I was giving her high praise, and I'm like, "I'm so happy that I can finish my day. I'm sorry you have to keep working to serve us, but I'm gonna go over and celebrate." And she's like, "Oh, what are you gonna celebrate?" I'm like, "Well, obviously, great event to completion, but it's my birthday tonight, so I'm gonna go drink with my friends." And she got this look on her face, like, "Oh, happy birthday. This is great." I'm like, "Yeah, it is great." Okay, thanks. Bye. Get my beer, go over, sit down, start conversating with my friends and the other attendees. And like 5, 10 minutes later, um, literally she's coming over, she's skipping with this tray. And she's not swinging it this exaggeratedly, obviously, but she's skipping over, huge smile on her face. And she sets the tray down, it's full of shot glasses. And she starts putting out shot glasses for everyone at the table, which is like there's 7 of us. And she's like, "It's time for birthday shot." I'm like, "Well, oh, wow, we didn't ask for that. We didn't expect that. We appreciate you wanting to do this. Thank you so much. Birthday shot. You don't have to do everyone. I'm the only one with a birthday." She's like, "No, no, no. This is for per the owner." And the owner's name was G, and her name was Carmille, I think. I tried very hard to pronunciate her name correctly, and I failed like every time. Um, but she was super cute. And the bar owner came over. He has this definitely like at least mid shelf level of rum, if not higher. And he's like, everyone gets a shot. He pours a shot for everyone. And he also pours a shot for himself and all of his bar staff. I'm like, I don't know what the laws are in Canada, but I know in America you can't do that. I'm like, whatever. You guys can do what you want. Hopefully this doesn't get them in trouble with anybody. It's just, one shot. So it's in a shot glass. So in America, if it's in a shot glass, you shoot it. I did not realize that this was apparently a sipping rum. And I love rum, by the way. And so most of the table we shoot it. It was so delicious. It was so good. But the look of disappointment on G's face, the bar owner's face. So I've disappointed my dad before, and I've seen that look on my dad. But this was worse. Like I felt terrible. The look of disappointment on his face when I did that. And immediately I knew I messed up. I put the glass down. I'm like, it's obvious that we're supposed to, because he took a sip and I shot it. And so again, it's just like, it's obvious that I messed up. I am sorry. I did not realize in America, in a shot glass, you shoot, you don't sip. So I apologize. I will want another shot and I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. And he's like, "No, you apologized. You recognized your error. You get another shot." And he poured us all shots again. And I'm like, "Well, you don't have to keep pouring shots for everybody. Like, we can pay. We have money." He's like, "No, no, celebration, birthday. We're doing this for everyone." And so this time I start sipping it. I'm like, "Oh, so good, so good." And he's like, "Do you want more?" I'm like, "I'm not going to say no." So yeah, I'll take more. He goes trotting over to his shelf. And I'm going to show you pictures of the shelf. He's got a huge array of alcohol. And it wraps around. So much alcohol, and that's G there. That's G again there, and just pouring. We'll get into that. So many shots. Um, Here's more of us just sitting around enjoying the drinks and having laughs and good times. This is the cute server woman who was so bubbly and happy getting to getting to it. So we're drinking more rum, and they're pulling down bottles. And this rum here, I made sure to take anything that like really stood out to me. And there's so much. I wish I'd remember to take pictures of everything. But this rum here, the spiced rum, this Baron Samdi, it was like a vanilla, like this rich vanilla. It was so good. And he's like, "Do you want another one?" And there's this chocolate rum. So I do not like chocolate alcohols, like not for me. But this, it tasted like a chocolate milkshake. It was so good. I couldn't believe how good this tasted. I want more. Please give me more. And I'm definitely going to look into trying to buy these. But yeah, so I would get halfway through one, and then he would pour me a new shot with a different rum and put it in front of me. And I always make sure I was drinking water in between the flavors so I wasn't, cross mixing them up. And I'll get two sips out of that, and then he's pouring me another shot glass of another one. And again, this wasn't just for me. He was pouring shots for everybody at the table. We're talking 10 shots at a time from very top, high shelf alcohol. Like, this is not cheap stuff, and he's just pouring it out for everybody. We kept saying, we'll pay for it, we'll pay for it. And he's like, no, no, I'm doing this because I want to. And so he would pour all these out, and I had to eventually, we had almost all the, and so it was so cute. So server girl at some point was skipping around the restaurant, just getting as drunk as the rest of us, and she was shooing people out of the restaurant. She's like, "We're closed now. We're closed." And people are like, "Oh, like we have to leave." She's like, "Yep, we're closed. You guys need to leave." She was shooing people out of the restaurant so we could have it to ourselves and we could get rowdy. Just so adorable. And so they were shooing people out the door. The bar owner was going shot for shot with me. He would pour shots. We would finish him more shots, more shots. And yeah, so this is again a picture of us just holding and drinking, having a good time. So we started drinking at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And this, so 1:30 rolls around. I look at my phone. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's so late, guys. We need to go. Like we can't stay here all night. These people got to get home." Like, so it's like me killing my own party because the restaurant owner was like, "Oh, we don't have to leave. We can keep going." I'm like, "Gee, you have to close your restaurant. We can't close your restaurant for you. You got to send your people home. They got to get home too." And the look on his face was like, "Oh no, I have to close my restaurant. It's 1:30 in the morning." He has to get all the transactions and everything closed and filled out. And I felt so bad. So we start trying to help clean up, wipe down tables and chairs and things. And eventually at some point he was just like, "You gotta leave, get out of here. We gotta get close." I'm like, "Gee, how are you gonna get home?" He's like, "Tonight I sleep here." Just like so badass. He was just so cool. Everyone was so cool in that restaurant. But yeah, the cute server woman, I did flirt with her a little bit, just a little bit, because at one point she wanted people to take a shot of Fireball whiskey with her, and nobody was taking her up on that offer. And just full disclosure, I love whiskey, but I will not drink Fireball whiskey. I do not drink cinnamon whiskey. But she's so cute, and we were flirting, so I took a shot of Fireball whiskey with her. And I made sure to tell her, like, "Hey, I flirt. I'm a huge flirt. I like to flirt. I'm not like trying to like do any. Just I'm just being friendly. To me, obviously, like, you have a boyfriend, don't you?" She's like, "I do." I'm like, "Okay, just so you know, if I'm flirting with you, just being friendly. Like, I'm not. There's nothing more behind that. That's just what I like to do." So she was appreciative that because I could tell that, like, yeah, I won't go too much more into it. But as soon as like we said the discussion, we kept having just a whole lot of fun. Just drinking and chatting and talking about different things, the differences between America and Canada, and it was just so much fun. I've not had so much fun with just a group of people I've never really socialized with before. It was great times. And we get done, we get out of the restaurant, we're hungry. We go down to this corner store. It's like a 24-hour pizza place. So we bust in at like 2 a.m. in the morning. There was one guy in this pizza place working. And he sees all of us come in, and you could just see like the oh no, like look on his face. His hands are on his hips. He was kind of like a little upset because we came in, we wiped out all of his pizza. Everything he had ready, we devoured it. And so now he's got to cook more pizza. And then also that, so it's like at this time of night, obviously, like nobody really is going to come into a store to eat pizza. So he has to cook fresh pizza for people who may not even come in, and like it probably like went to waste. So he's just like was not very happy about that. I probably at the end of the day, or that night rather, what I can remember the next morning, and again I am wasted. What I can remember is that I at least had 10 shots of rum, two beers, and a shot of whiskey. That's the what I can at least remember. And I woke up the next morning expecting to just like be dead. Like people were like, "How are you not dead?" I don't know. It's a lot of alcohol. Woke up, definitely was hungover, but it wasn't like the super intense, like I just want please end my life kind of like intense hangover. I think it's because of like the high quality of the alcohol, because I don't remember drinking a lot of water. And so like yeah, I was hungover, but it wasn't like pounding headache or anything like that I usually get. I did still take like a half hour long hot shower just to kind of help clear my brain and hydrate, and because then we had to drive down, rode down with Troy back to Toronto, and that was just a cool little trip going from Montreal to Toronto. So yeah, that was my STL night there. Oh yeah, there's a picture of Simon. So yeah, they just super cool. Captain Awesomer, he and I like that's a trophy they had too for Armada. So get down to Toronto, and I'm like, let's go on a walk. I want to see some stuff. Go have some local food. He showed me in Toronto. So this used to be an old railroad track that goes out across the city. They decommissioned it and turned it into this walk bike path, and so it's fall, it's leaves, it's beautiful. It goes up and over these roads. You can kind of look down, and I mean, this thing goes for miles and miles and miles. And I'm like, this is awesome. I wish there is more things like this where it's a dedicated walk bike path that you can use to get across the city that's safe, marked out, and just you don't have to worry about cars or crossings for most of the way. Just was really cute. Really enjoyed it. So then Sunday goes. Monday, I took a personal day. I took a day for me. I'm going to go see the Niagara Falls. So excited to see Niagara Falls. So I we plotted out my trip Sunday night. Troy helped me out, and they told me you get to take the bus, you get to take the subway, and you get to take the train, and you get to take the actual like coach buses all the way to Niagara Falls and back. And I'm like, this is awesome. I am for this. So yeah, so the public transportation bus in Toronto, I did not know this. Because it's like, oh yeah, if you miss the bus, don't worry. The next one's along in 5 minutes. In America, in my region where I live, public transportation is awful. It literally doesn't exist. Like if there is a bus, it comes along like once an hour. It's like one bus. But he's like, yeah, if you miss the bus, don't worry. Another one comes along in the next 5 to 10 minutes. You can put your watch to it. And that's on the hour, every hour, 24 hours a day. He's like, the only time the transportation slows down is like in the early AM hours, like between like 2 to 5, where it goes to like every half hour or something like that, which still just blows my mind. They have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buses and all these routes, and they're all very impressed with the transportation system. And so easy. Everything is clearly labeled, marked, not complicated. Um, get on the bus, go to the subway station, go down into the subway station. Never been in a subway station, subway train. This was the train here. On the subway train, like I made sure to get on the back because I wanted to see. I've heard about this phenomenon where you can ride the train and you're all the way in the back, and the train will be going along, and the suspension is so good. But the whole train, like half of the train, will turn, and you can no longer see the front half of the train, and then you'll ride along, and it doesn't even feel like you're turning or moving. And like I'm watching this thing going like back and forth, and it doesn't even feel like anything. Like it was really trippy, but so cool to like see that in the suspension. It was such a smooth ride. And again, the announcements about what stop you're coming to, what's next. Everything is like little lights that like show everything. So cool. I just was really impressed with it. Get off the subway, and then I entered what's called the Path. It's this huge underground city below Toronto. And there's shops and stores and access ways. It's how people get around in the wintertime to still like get around downtown. But there's a whole below city environment down there. And he told me, once you enter the path, stick to the signs, don't deviate. Like, and there's helper people everywhere, everywhere. The whole job is just to stand there, and if you have questions, they will answer your questions. You know where you're going. Couldn't believe it. Like in America, there's like one person at a desk that you can't find. If you get lost, like tough luck. But Toronto, there's helper people everywhere who will give you directions or tell you what's going on or how to do stuff. So such a great experience. But yeah, I'm in the path, and Troy was like, once you enter the path, don't deviate from where you're supposed to go because you will get lost in this huge underground area if you don't know where you're going or how to get out or anything like that. So I made sure to follow all the signs to get to the train. Get to the train, so I pop up into Union Station, which you've probably seen it in movies or seen pictures. Union Station is cool AF, like oh, huge, beautiful, gorgeous building. Took a picture of that. Get out to the trains. Couldn't believe it. It's these huge double decker trains. Nice, nice trains. And I made sure to climb to the top. I'm going all the way to Burlington. And just I took so many pictures of the skylines. This is a video. Again, not going to show that, but took pictures of the CN Tower. Picture of the skyline. More skyline. Just so much to look at and see. Take the train all the way to Burlington, get off there. Again, so easy to find out where we're supposed to go. Everything is labeled and marked. Jump on the coach bus. Takes me to Niagara Falls. In total, the trip took like 3.5 hours to get to Niagara Falls. And I'll talk about more of my trip, but the return trip took about 4.5 hours to get back. But again, it's so beautiful. Um, Overall, to get there and back on public transportation, I only spent like $40 American. Blew my mind. You could not do any of that in America for that cost. It would be double, triple that. Easily more than that. And it was just so inexpensive. I just couldn't believe it how inexpensive it was. So highly encourage if you're in that area, use a public transportation. It's great. One thing that coming back from Niagara Falls to Toronto, I'm on the bus. I didn't realize this. You could look out, across Lake Ontario, and you can see the skyline of the skyscrapers of Toronto across the lake. And it was so trippy, but so cool. Is not to pick on anyone's beliefs or opinions, but this is like you can't believe in a flat Earth because you could see the curvature of the Earth towards Toronto, the skyline. So like if it's flat, you would see the bottom of the buildings, right? So how is this curvature? You can only see the top half of all the buildings. It's again, not trying to pick on anybody, but it's kind of hard for me to how people can hold that kind of an opinion. But anyway, beautiful. I thought I had taken a picture of it and it didn't save correctly to my phone. It was corrupted. I don't know what happened, but unfortunately, I didn't get a picture of that. But for Niagara Falls, I arrive in Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is not very big. It is mainly just a tourist town. There's like a strip, and it has like tourist attractions, restaurants, and casinos, and that's Niagara Falls. It's not very big. But I get there, and I knew that one of the vantage points you want to use is the Skylon Tower. It's like $20 to go up. It's like, yeah, no big deal. And it was cold. I knew it was gonna be cold. I didn't know it was gonna be this cold though. It was cold. It like was pouring cats and dogs at one point. I get to the top of this tower and like I forgot my beanie. I brought one, forgot it. Bought a Niagara Falls beanie to try to keep warm. Luckily, I had a nice thick winter jacket, so I was warm, but it was just super rainy. Get to the top, start taking pictures. So many pictures. Niagara Falls. So that's the first part of the falls there. So that's America, because I'm on the Canadian side, which is the better viewpoint, vantage point. That's part of the Rainbow Bridge there, very famous bridge. I'm gonna have more pictures of the waterfalls, and so again, you can see all the people walking around over there and on the islands and things of the falls. Again, see the Rainbow Bridge. I debated about if I wanted to try to cross it and come back, but I'm already in Canada. I didn't want to take the risk that something happens and I can't come back in, so I stayed in Canada. Just so many pictures of the falls and these little boats. I couldn't believe it. So it's like it's raining outside and people are on these boats and they're like driving up into the falls and getting more wet. But this is Horseshoe Falls. Again, just beautiful, beautiful. So I had panned back. I was taking pictures through the wiring, but so to pan back to get the whole encompassing. So again, this is all Canada over here, America, and yeah, just I couldn't believe how much water. I mean, I've been around waterfalls and rivers and things of that nature. This was something else entirely. The noise, the moisture, what you could feel. It's so much water. Never, I couldn't comprehend how much water is moving through all of that every single second. Tons of it. Just was fantastic. If you ever get a chance to go see Niagara Falls. You couldn't. It was beautiful. I am so happy I went. More pictures of the falls, and then I went down. I walked down to actually like start taking pictures, more close up, and just hear that noise and the vibration and walking along. And at some point, you come up. You are right next to the falls. You are right there, right next to it. That is the edge right there. That's the lip. This wall that I'm leaning over, it's like a half wall. Like if I wanted to lean more, I would just fall right over into the falls and I would get swept off and I would die. Like this is like if anyone just wants to jump in and throw themselves in, they totally can. There's no fences or large barriers or anything like that. So it's just like, you know, I would never do it, but there's always like in that voice in the back of your head, like, do it, throw yourself off. And I'm like, no, why would I do that? But again, yeah, that's like the lip of the falls right there. And I just stood probably for like 15 minutes just watching it, just in awe, just watching all this water and moisture and everything. And it was so cool, so neat. Saw the Lock Bridge, of course. The Lock Bridge being famous for all the locks on it. They're like little romantic, cute little messages that people, when they get married or in relationships, leave stuff on. Just was cute. And that was pretty much my Niagara Falls trip. I did pop into a casino. I love playing baccarat and blackjack. Of course, I played a little bit, and then went back home or back to Troy's home. But again, so gracious for me to let me stay in his house. I really do appreciate that. That was just so great. So then Monday ends, Tuesday, working day. I dress up, nice shirt and jeans and my coat and all that. Take the subway and bus back down to downtown Toronto and pop out. The first thing I wanted to do in the morning was I wanted to go see the art gallery, very famous. And there's this cool church that was there. Get to the art gallery. This elephant is made completely out of leather, and that's not bronze, that's leather. It's just super cool. So this art gallery, huge building, one of the biggest museums I've ever seen. I spent 2.5 hours in this art gallery, and there's like 6 floors to it. I saw maybe 2/3 of it. There's so much. There's so much. And all these little, you'll go into this room, and in that room, there's another room, and another room, and another. You keep going forever. And there's all these like little nooks and passageways, and it's just neat. It was an experience. I loved it. And I'll talk about these townhouses in a minute, because it's gonna go into like my experience going to Chinatown. But all these cool, cute little painted Chinatown or these little houses and things. But I start down in the basement because that's where the ship gallery was. So these ship miniatures, some of them are hundreds of years old. Some of them being made in like the 17, 1800s. And they were just so detailed. They're so cool. It was so cool. There's all kinds of ships from different eras, different kinds of models and warships and freighters and tugs and boats. And it was just neat, the level of detail. There's ship after ship after ship. This whole basement area was just filled, and I loved it. But yeah, for the rest of the museum, going up floor by floor, of course, just tons of paintings, pictures, sculptures, other artifacts or whatever, and just it was really great. I had a lot of fun just kind of just taking my time and go through all that. Of course, I had to get to work at some point. I'm hungry, so I'm like, I'm gonna go down to Kensington Market and explore it. Very famous. Wanted to see. So I get to Kensington Market, and here's some pictures of the Chinatown area. It literally, for blocks, goes exactly like this: restaurant, Chinese shop. So Chinese restaurant, Chinese shop, Chinese massage parlor. And it goes in that exact order for blocks. Blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. That exact order. You turn the corner, go down another block. It's the exact same thing. So those townhouses, so in between, so the outer perimeter of these blocks was like where the streetcars and buses and things go. But if you go walk down halfway, you could turn, and there's townhouses where people are living in these townhouses in between, in the middle of these blocks. So I always made sure to take the occasion to walk down because they had all the Halloween decorations out, and it was just so cute. I would never be able to live in a place like this. Too many people. But I could appreciate just kind of just like the aesthetic and how cute it was and just how interesting it all was. Of course, hungry, finally found a restaurant that actually felt comfortable like trying to go into. A lot of these places were like kind of run down, a little creepy looking. I'm sure they were fine. But I wasn't gonna take the risk of some of the way some of these places looked. I find a restaurant, I go in, sit down, and it is authentic Chinese, and everything looked delicious. But I was just going to stick to a few items, and of course, I was going to try steamed buns. I've never had authentic Chinese steamed buns, but they had this thing called cucumber cold plate. I'm like, that seems interesting. I'll have that. It comes out the first thing because it's just cold plate, just cucumber. It has all these spices in it, and it's a sauce, and it's not like spicy as in like hot. Um, just so flavorful. It was so good. They just called it cold cucumber plate. I should have asked like what were the other spices and things on there. I would love to just make this for myself. I'm sure I could look it up. It was really really good, everyone. I ate. I was eating just stuff in my face with all that just cold cucumber. I love vegetables. And then these steam buns come out. And these steam buns are stuffed with barbecue pork. And I've had steam buns before, but they were really doughy and chewy, and the experience wasn't all that great. These came out. You could just smell them. Smell so good. And I was expecting them to be heavy, but you pick them up with the chopsticks. They're so light and fluffy. It's like you're not even holding anything. And you take your first bite, and the it just melted in your mouth. It was so light, so fluffy, so delicious. The barbecue, it was so good. It wasn't like my other experience of steamed buns. It just, you expect you're gonna have to chew. It just melts in your mouth. It was so delicious. I could have hundreds of these and die a happy man for being so fat and happy. They were so good. I actually want to learn again, like how to make these. Just loved it. And also, of course, had some authentic Chinese dumplings. It came out with this little side plate full of like this vinegar. I don't know what exactly it was. All I know is like I had the dumpling, it was really good, and then I put the dumpling in this vinegar stuff. Oh, so good, so tasteful. Can't describe it. Loved it. Finished my meal. The first place I go walk over to scout is the downtown Hilton, Toronto. On the way there, there's this big sign that says dental office, but then you look down this little hole, and if you can read that, make that out, it says Wizard Market. It's a little Harry Potter shop, and I go down in it. I'm a Ravenclaw, so I get like a little Ravenclaw thing, and it was just a cute little memorabilia shop. Overpriced products, whatever. It was just neat to kind of just see this like random little Potter shop, and got something just to help remember, my trip, my experience of seeing this place. Um, Along my walk path is just more statues and things. Walking downtown Toronto was so easy. It was great and just so much to look at, and just so walking friendly. Big sidewalks in almost all cases, and so easy to cross the streets and everything. Like I would never want to drive in downtown big cities at all. Of course, just not the environment I grew up in. I would be terrible at it. But otherwise, walking it was fantastic. Get to the Hilton. They had an event going on, so a lot of like halls and rooms and things were closed. I couldn't see into them. but whatever I could publicly take pictures of, I made sure I was taking pictures of. Cool little break room area. This is down in one of the hall areas. Of course, I could take pictures just standing there. I couldn't go much else past that. I asked if I could speak with somebody there. I didn't have an appointment. I told them, it's like, I don't have an appointment. It's not an emergency. I don't need to talk to anyone, but I'm just scouting the venue for potentially an event here for some of my clients. So eventually someone was able to meet me. I'm like, I don't want to take up much of your time. I know you're busy. And while I was waiting, I took pictures of their restaurant in there. So cool. Like these cool little half couches and tables and cool bar. And yeah, just really neat in here. Um, Talked to the event manager. We have great conversation. We exchange a lot of information, kind of got some idea of their pricing. Probably wouldn't work out. They're a bit more than what an average startup event could ever possibly do at the current time, but definitely kept all their information on file. I needed it for my report for my clients. Next stop, walked over to the Metro Toronto Convention Center. This place was sweet. I would love it if Adepticon was anything like this place. It was just great. So cool. If I had to compare it, I'd say it's definitely similar to Gen Con, but where Gen Con is just super spread out. Super spread out. And this place, I'll back up to the picture, is multiple levels. So, like, I walked in on this level here and then took the escalator down. And I couldn't proceed past that point because, again, they had a convention going on. But just, had some conversations. Unfortunately, nobody there I could talk to about the venue, but I did find like out some information and things that I needed. And then I was able to walk over to their halls, huge halls. Of course, again, they're setting up for an event there, like tons of space, outlets everywhere. Just really, really well designed. I was super impressed. So like the pictures of these halls here, like that's this area right here. And where I was initially, where I walked in, like that's where that little round thing is. I couldn't go down and see any of that. But this place, so the meeting rooms, um, it was so funny. They're like, oh, we have an event going on. You can't come down this area and walk up to an escalator. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just walking around. I'm just looking at stuff. I'm visiting. I'm scouting the venue out. They're like, okay, that's cool, but you still can't come down this escalator. I'm like, oh, okay. I literally would walk 20 feet to the next escalator. There's no security guard there, and I could just take it down and go walk around the halls and places. Of course, I wasn't announcing to the security guard like, "Oh, I'm going down this escalator." I was gonna make their life more difficult. But it's a publicly accessible area. I wasn't going in to any of the meeting rooms or any of the halls. If the doors were open, I would look in, just check things out. But I was being non-intrusive. I just thought it was really funny that like I could go down this other escalator that nobody would stop me, and then I'd go back up and go to a different area, and they're like, "Oh no, you can't come through here." And then again, you walk 20 feet, and there's go back down. It's just so funny. Had a good time checking all this out. This would be a pretty swank place to hold an event because it does seem like you're able to rent out specific meeting rooms or areas, and you don't have to do like the whole thing. So this place would be really cool to have an event at. Of course, scouting out a few more venues, walking around. This is called the 416 something cute little bar. I walked in here and the bartender, they had just opened up. He's like, oh, like I want to try local stuff. He's like, how about you try? It's like the best way I can describe it to you is like Hawaiian punch. And I'm thinking like super sugary artificial Hawaiian punch. He's like, no, no, no. That's the best way I can describe it. It's definitely not that. So he hands it to me. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a glass. And yeah, this stuff was so good. It tasted way better than Hawaiian Punch because it doesn't taste like awful sugary crap. Very flavorful, very fruity, very delicious. In the course of my walking around, I also met someone that was like a photographer and photos and graphics design. And I'm like, great, we're going to take your information because we're looking for local people in the future to coordinate that kind of stuff with. So I just had a fantastic time in Toronto, visited some venues, took down information, was able to send that back to my clients, and just had a combination of like, yeah, I was working, but also having fun, and I just really enjoyed it. Had a fantastic trip, and again, thank you so much, Troy, for allowing me to stay at your home, um, and just be able to have that as like a launching point out and experience so many awesome things. And just I look forward to more stuff like this. And so that's my adventure. If you have questions or want to ask more about it, feel free to leave a comment. Let me know about it. But I feel like I've been going on long enough for this video. Do appreciate all of you if you stuck it out to this point, and I hope to continue to meet and experience and enjoy things with everybody. So, thank you for watching, and hey, I'll catch you next time. Quick shout out to the sponsors of the channel. Firstly, to Otherworld Events. Regardless if you're needing assistance for event managing, planning, organizing, how to even start, or just need specific ideas for what it is you're doing that you already have a plan for, Otherworld Events can help you out. Second, to Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. Admiral Tater's Ship Shop, while specializing in Star Wars Armada miniature items, also has X-Wing and Legion items. If you're looking to really get some great looking acrylics on the table, whether it be holders for your upgrade cards or tokens or acrylic tokens, and most importantly, you just want a perfect range ruler with no flaws or errors in it that's going to give you exact measurements every time. Highly recommend Admiral Tater. It's the range rulers I use at tournaments. I know they're cut perfectly, they're going to range perfectly, and I'm going to get that best measurement every single time. Also, just look at everything they have available. So thank you to our sponsors.